They said I was done, like I was a chapter they could close, a mess to walk past, failure to forget. They looked at my scars and laughed. Laughed because they thought scars meant weakness. But scars are not weakness. They are the ink of survival. Each one, proof that I fought, that I endured, that I crawled through hell and came out breathing, you see. The world loves the broken, only if you stay broken, quiet, ashamed, begging for mercy that never comes. They want you small, they want you silent, they want you scared of your own reflection. I gave them all of that once. I gave them my silence. I gave them my trust. I gave them every shattered piece of me, and still they asked for more. They took my voice, crushed my heart, spit on the ruins of what I once called hope, and then they smiled because they thought it was over. They thought I'd stay down, stay broken. But here's the thing about people like me. We don't stay down. We don't stay broken. You pushed me into the dirt, but I learned how to rise from graves. You ripped out my heart, but I learned how to beat without one. They fed me lies, dressed them in pity, wrapped them in fake smiles. You'll never make it. You're too soft. You don't belong here. I believed them. For a while, I believed them. I stared at the mirror and saw what they wanted me to see. Weakness, failure, a ghost in a world full of wolves. But then, something snapped. Something cold, something real. A silence so loud it cracked the illusion. And in that silence, I met the real me. Not the broken version they built, not the tame version they loved, but the buried, brutal truth beneath the skin. I'm not what they wanted, I'm what they feared. Because now I see it clear. They thought I'd stay down, stay broken, stay nothing, but I didn't stay. I didn't break. And I sure as hell didn't disappear. They didn't just break my bones. They fractured my name, tore it apart, spat it out like it never meant anything. I wasn't just wounded, I was erased. By peace, memory, by memory. They didn't want me to suffer. They wanted me to vanish. I screamed. God, I screamed. But no one came. No one ever comes. Not when you're on your knees. Not when you're bleeding out in the silence they left behind, I begged. You don't forget that kind of shame. I begged them. To see me, to hear me, to stop, and they smiled. Do you know what that does to a soul? When the world watches you drown and throws you an anchor instead of a rope. They called me too soft, too emotional, too much. And then they called me not enough. I became a contradiction in their mouths, an echo chamber of their cruelty, loud insults, quiet dismissals, and silence. Oh, the silence was the loudest of all. You don't know how loud silence can get, till it's the only thing left, until the walls close in, till your own heartbeat becomes the enemy. I stopped looking. In mirrors, because every reflection reminded me of them. What they took, what they said, what they made me believe, that I was nothing, that I would always be nothing. And for a while, I believed it. I swallowed their lies like they were gospel. My identity from their ashes, or my pain like armor, not because it protected me, because I had nothing else left to wear. They broke me in ways you can't see. Not just the body, but the belief, the trust, the hope. They tore open my chest and reached for the part of me that still believed in kindness. And they crushed it without hesitation, without mercy. And still, some part of me refused to die. It didn't scream, it didn't cry. Quiet, patient, waiting. A whisper in the back of my skull, saying, not yet, saying, there's more, saying, get up. And I did, but not the way they expected. Not with a smile, not with forgiveness. I rose with venom in my lungs, fire in my blood, every cracked rib and bruised soul screaming one truth. I survived. Not by chance. By choice, by clawing my way through the darkness with teeth bared, by learning how to bleed without dying, by turning every wound into a weapon. They thought they were ending me. All they did was set the stage. Because here's the truth. You can break my bones. You can drown me in your silence. You can strip me of my name, my peace, my past. but you will never break my will. I was made in pain, molded in betrayal, sharpened by abandonment, and now, I'm not just alive, I'm awake, fully, finally, ferociously. So let them whisper, let them scoff, let them sleep peacefully, thinking I'm still lying in the dirt, because they'll never hear the thunder until it's standing over them. They say the worst part of death isn't the silence, it's the forgetting. The way people stop saying your name, the way the world moves on, it's like you were never here. But what they don't understand is that sometimes you have to kill something inside you just to keep breathing. I buried my innocence beneath their lies. 6 feet deep, no flowers, no farewell, just dirt. In silence, I stood over the grave, and I didn't cry, because that version of me, the one who hoped, who trusted, who bled for others like it meant something, deserved to die. He begged for mercy. I don't beg. He wanted peace. I want power. He whispered for someone to save him. I learned to save myself. That old version of me was soft, malleable, easily broken. They shattered him with words and watched him fall apart like glass. But glass can cut. And from those pieces, I built someone they couldn't recognize and couldn't control. I didn't break. It's like a snake shedding skin, like a monster outgrowing its cage. Or I left that shell behind, cracked and hollow. They thought I lost myself. No, I found myself buried beneath their labels, their expectations, their manipulations. Every lie they told me was a nail in my coffin, and I let them dig. But while they celebrated the burial, I was busy becoming something else, something I never saw coming. See, pain doesn't destroy you, it defines you. It sharpens your edges, cleanses your weakness, strips away the masks you wore to survive, and in that rawness, in that brutal, merciless clarity, you don't find peace, you find purpose. I stopped chasing light, stopped praying for understanding, stopped waiting to be seen, because the truth is, some of us aren't born to be loved. We're born to become storms. I don't miss who I was. I don't mourn him. He was necessary. He was the foundation, but he was never the weapon. That came later, and now. Now I walk through this world not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as something else entirely. The kind of soul you don't pity, the kind you fear. They broke the boy. But the boy was never meant to last, and what rose from his grave doesn't kneel, doesn't beg, doesn't flinch. I became the shadow of their consequences, the echo of everything they tried to silence. So don't ask me who I am now. That name's buried. That face is gone. That chapter is closed. This isn't a redemption arc. This is a reckoning. Because I didn't just survive the fall, I embraced it. And on the way down, I let go of everything I used to be. So when I arose, there was nothing left to save. Only something left to fear. They thought the fire would end me. But fire doesn't destroy all things. Some things are forged in it. I didn't rebuild to be the same. I rebuilt to be dangerous. Every burn, every scar. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. A ceremony. A baptism in agony. They gave me pain. I turned it into power. They gave me fear. I molded it into focus. They gave me silence. I made it my symphony. Because when you lose everything, when they strip you to your bones, you stop pretending. You stop playing the part they wrote for you. That's when the real transformation begins. Not in peace, not in comfort, but in chaos, in blood, in fire. I didn't crawl out of the flames to be the same fool they buried. I chose the fire. I welcomed the burn, because only destruction can create something unbreakable. They said I'd never be anything again. They said I was finished. They said it like it was prophecy. They were wrong, because when they tried to turn me to ash, all they did was remove what I no longer needed. The softness, the doubt, the illusions, and what was left was something they couldn't predict, couldn't understand, couldn't control. You see, pain taught me. It sharpened my vision, carved the weakness out of my soul. And now I see everything. I see how they flinch at truth, how they fear anything they can't tame, how they label it dangerous when it refuses to kneel, Good. Let them fear me. Let them lie to themselves.
Oh.
Let them call me bitter. Call me cold. Call me monstrous because monsters don't break. I rose in the fire, not despite it. Because of it, I didn't survive by accident. I survived by decision, by rage, by sheer ruthless will. I became my own salvation, and now I walk differently. Now I speak differently, because now I know what I am. I'm not lost. I'm reborn, not into peace, but into power, and every step I take now is deliberate. Every word I speak now is sharpened. Every breath I draw now is earned. So let them whisper. Let them watch. Let them wonder what happened to the broken soul they left in the dark aisle. Tell them I burned. I bled. I shattered. And then I rose. I rose. I wanted peace. I begged for it. Whispered for it in the dark. Prayed for it between clenched teeth and bloody knuckles. But peace never answered. Instead, the world handed me war and told me to survive. I held out my hands for compassion. They filled them with knives. I asked for understanding. They gave me judgment. I cried for help. They walked away. I didn't start as this cold, hard, merciless thing I've become. No one does. I was gentle once, foolishly hopeful. I believed in second chances, in the goodness of people, in the lie that kindness would be enough. It wasn't. They ripped that softness out of me. Day by day, word by word, betrayal by betrayal, I begged for mercy. They taught me vengeance. They taught me that the world doesn't care how pure your heart is. It only notices how sharp your teeth are. So, I stopped reaching out, stopped explaining. Myself stopped trying to fit into cages built for smaller souls. I didn't want to be this. But they left me no choice. Because when you've been stabbed enough times, you learn how to bleed without making a sound. And then you learn how to stab back. I became what they made. Not by weakness, but by force. By survival. This world doesn't. Rewards softness. It punishes it. It crushes it. It turns warmth into weakness and empathy into ammunition. So I adapted. I armored up. I sharpened my pain into weapons they'd never see coming. And no, I don't feel guilty. Because the villain isn't born, he's made. In silence, in shadows, in screams. So look at me now. Does this frighten you? It's good it should. You created this. You wanted a monster? You mocked the boy. Dismissed the man. Betrayed the soul. Now you've got something else entirely. And I speak now to those like me. The outcasts, the broken, the ones who begged and got silence, the ones who bled and got blamed. Look at yourself. Look at the scars. Do you see weakness? Or do you see proof that you survived? You didn't ask for this rage, but now it burns inside you. They pushed you to the edge and expected you to fall, but you didn't fall, did you? No, you climbed. You clawed. You changed. They made you cold. But now you're untouchable. They made you numb. But now you're unbreakable. So don't apologize for who you've become. Don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't soften your voice just because. They can't handle your truth. Let them hate. Let them fear. Let them fall. Because we are not the broken anymore. We are the storm. And if they didn't want the thunder, they never should have summoned the lightning. You see a monster. See a masterpiece. You see the smile, but not the stitches, not the hands that had to sew it together after it was torn. From my face, this smile, it's stitched from pain. It's not joy. It's not peace. It's controlled, refined, worn like armor. I wear the mask now, not to hide who I am, but to show you exactly what I've become. They used to call me broken, shattered, too far gone to fix. So I became the thing that breaks them. They called me unstable, too cold, too harsh. But let me ask you, what else do you become after you've bled for people who watched you drown? You learn, you adapt, you transform, and somewhere along the way, you stop trying to explain the pain. You stop trying to be understood. and you start becoming the version of yourself that survives no matter who doesn't like it. The mask, it's not weakness. It's strategy. It's focus. It's survival. Behind it, there's no more begging. No more hoping. No more waiting for someone else to do the saving. I am the storm now. It's not the wreckage, not the victim, the storm. I know what they say, that I'm heartless, that I've changed, that I've lost myself. They're wrong. I didn't lose myself. I killed the version of me that needed their validation. I buried the part of me that craved their understanding. And in that silence, something stronger was born. Now, I don't flinch when they leave. I don't bend when they attack. And I don't explain myself to people who only want to misunderstand me. This mask, it's not for hiding. It's for protection. It's for clarity. Because once you've been betrayed by smiles, you stop trusting faces. Once you've been stabbed by kindness, you start counting the hands around you. I know who I am now, not because they told me, because I decided. I chose. This path, I chose to stop bleeding for people who wouldn't bandage me. I chose to stop apologizing for being too much for those who were never enough. I chose silence over begging, fire over forgiveness, power over pity. So when they whisper, "When did you become so cold?" I smile and I answer, "When warmth was used as a weapon against me." Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them spin their stories, because I don't exist to be understood anymore. I exist to unsettle, to disrupt. To rise, they say, I wear a mask. I say it's a crown. You want the old? Me. Bury him again. Dig a grave deep enough for your expectations, your rules, your guilt games. Because that version of me, the one who softened his fire, just to be held, he's not here anymore. You broke him, then blamed him for bleeding. You mocked him and called him bitter when he stopped laughing. You don't get to miss what you destroyed. You don't get to mourn what you never valued. I'm not the same. I'm not sorry. I don't fit your forgiveness. I wear revenge better. It suits me. Tailored from every insult you dressed me in, lined with every scar you said I imagined. I don't speak in apologies now. I speak in truths sharp enough to bleed you. I speak in tones you once called too much, because you couldn't handle just enough. I'm not healed. I'm awakened. I stopped trying to be understood in a world that profits off misunderstanding. I stopped handing out chances like they weren't carved from my soul. I stopped shrinking so others could feel tall beside my silence. And now, I don't want your acceptance. I don't need your love. I don't fear your hate. Let me repeat that. I don't want your acceptance. I don't need your love. I don't fear your hate, because your approval was always a leash. Your affection, a transaction. Your love, conditional. And I've learned to breathe without it. I've learned to rise without applause, to thrive without permission, to walk alone and never feel lonely. You made your choice when I was at my lowest, when I reached out and you looked away, when I cried out and you tightened the chains. Now it's my turn, and I don't choose you, so keep your pity, keep your labels, keep your illusion of who I used to be. I've stepped out of that shadow and into something far more dangerous. I am not the echo of your regrets. I am not the canvas for your guilt. I am not the boy you broke. And the consequence? And no, I don't forgive you. I don't need to. That would require me to care. Trust me, I ran out of that long before I ran out of tears. This isn't closure. This is clarity. I'm not the same. I'm not sorry. You thought I'd stay broken? You should have killed me. You should have buried me deeper, crushed every last piece. Made sure I'd never rise again, but you didn't. You walked away, confident, arrogant, victorious. You thought pain would be enough to keep me in chains. You thought silence would be enough to bury my voice. You thought the darkness would swallow me whole, but here I am, and I didn't return with apologies. I didn't come back to make peace. I came back to end it. You left me in the dark. That's where I became the storm, where I stitched my rage into armor, where I learned that monsters aren't born in fire. They're forged in the cold, alone, ignored, unloved. You thought I was defeated, but all you did was delay the inevitable, because I wasn't resting. I was rebuilding, and now I come not with tears, but with fire. Not with forgiveness, but with fury. You broke something you never understood, and now I'm the lesson you'll never forget. You gave me pain. I made it a purpose. You gave me silence. I turned it into sound. A roar that echoes in every corner you try to hide in. You built your world on my suffering. But now I'm the one who knocks at its gates. You see, you should have finished me when I was down, when I still had pieces of mercy left in me, when I still dreamed of peace. But you let me live. That was your final mistake. Because now I don't fight for love. I don't bleed for approval. I don't rise to be accepted. I rise to watch your towers fall. I rise to shatter your control. I rise to rewrite the rules in my name. This version of me doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't break. This version of me devours. I am not here to coexist. I am here to conquer. I don't knock. I kick down doors. I don't whisper. I burn every lie you've built your comfort on. You thought I was gone? I was just getting started, and now I am the thing that wakes you in the middle of the night. Memory that stains your victories. It's the name you dare not speak, because saying it makes it real. You left me to rot, and I grew roots in that grave. Roots so deep, they cracked the very ground you stand on. You made me the villain, and now you get to live with the consequences of that creation. Let the world know. Let them all know. I didn't crawl back. I rose. With vengeance in my veins and the ashes of who I was still smoldering behind me, you broke me. And now I'm the reason you'll never sleep again. You broke me. And now I break the world. You broke me. And now nothing is safe. You broke me. And now there's no going back. You broke me. And now I make the rules. So if you hear a knock at the door, a chill in the wind, a whisper in the silence, know. It's me. The consequence. The reckoning. The fire you tried to drown, and as your comfort burns, as your world crumbles, remember the words you laughed at, mocked, dismissed. Remember what you thought was weakness. Because now it's your sentence. You thought I'd stay broken?